हरे कृष्णा। मैं नवनीत व्यासा एस्ट्रो चैनल में आप लोगों का फिर से बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। एंड टुडे वी हैव Mrs. Nandita Patel from New Jersey, and she is member of Rudra Vedic Academy and very intelligent person and such a beautiful soul. Nandita ji, you're welcome on my channel. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guruji, I am honored today to come on your channel and discuss my favorite topic.
Okay, so what topic would you like to discuss today?
I would love for you to share your knowledge when it comes to nakshatras. I have
Wow.
learned so much from you,
Right.
and I want to share just the beautiful way you explain what nakshatras are
Mhm.
and why we use them in Jyotish and why they're so important. And my passion is really about the mythology, the stories behind it. It helped me a lot to
Yeah.
understand the stories. So I would love for you to share that with everyone.
Yeah, you know what? When I started teaching your batch of Nakshatras, so there was just one person that was was so much interested in the mythology behind each nakshatra, and that was you. And from that moment, I realized that she's the one who's going to take this drive of of mythologies of all the nakshatras on my channel. I decided there and then, and so we have multiple stories for each nakshatra, from different classics that have been given to us. So before we start, Nandita, I would want you to give a brief introduction on nakshatras. What is your understanding? And then I'll take it forward from there.
Great, great. My understanding is nakshatras are constellations
Yeah.
in the sky, and there are so many constellations.
Hmm.
The Vedic text refers to 28 nakshatras, or I would say we use 27,
27.
however.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nakshatras allow us to take each sign, and we have partitioned the nakshatras in four padas,
Right.
each
Right.
pada being 13 degrees and 20
Hmm.
seconds, right?
Right.
So we are getting a more precise timeline in
Hmm.
the predictions and how we can tie down the events that might happen in someone's life. But
Yeah.
however, each nakshatras have their own deities and their planets that rule them.
Yeah.
And that was the most fascinating for me, that we can look at a sign and we can see the placement of a planet and we can make some assumptions. But it really came down to looking at the nakshatras, because that's when the most accurate predictions um, were defined, right, in a person's
Right,
birth
right,
chart
right,
or in
right,
any chart.
right,
So I became very fascinated with
right,
that concept. And then to understand the nakshatras, there was so much information.
right.
And so understanding the planets and the deities that are associated with the nakshatras
Right,
really helped me close that gap in understanding
yeah,
each nakshatra, and allowing me to say, okay, this person or this planet being in here, this is the type of characteristics, or this is what you would see
right, right.
you know
That's so nice. That's a nice explanation. So it is like you said that each nakshatra is 13 degree and 20 minutes,
yes.
20 minutes long. Okay, great. Nandita, see, there are so many things, just not that it is about accurate prediction, right? It's about the application of nakshatras are so many, so we have applications of nakshatras on mundane level as well, right, on
Right.
universal level as well, right? So right, if you want a housewarming, or if you want to purchase a thing, right, if you want to dig a thing, you want to start a thing, you want to file a lawsuit, or
Right.
anything, any positive activity or any negative activity that you want to do, we need to understand the nakshatras,
Yeah,
right?
and that's where the murat comes into place,
Muhurat
right?
comes in, and that is always nakshatra based. And then the another thing is marriage. The entire Ashtkut Guna matching that happens between two people to check their compatibility, friendliness, right? Their health, prosperity, financial aspects. Everything is again nakshatra based, right?
Yes.
So the muhurtas, the events, then the marriage part, right? And last but not least, to understand the difference between uh, two people who were born in the same lagna, same rashi, right? How they're
Yes.
different from each other, right?
Yes.
How
Yeah.
accurately we can go and understand, right, that the momentum of the chart is towards what side, right? Like you were talking about the padas, right? So in the Sanskrit, pada means your foot, your feet, right?
Right.
Right. So pada is where you walk, you take a step, right? So I'll just take my whiteboard, which is my favorite activity,
Yes.
right? And I'll explain you these things. And ladies and gentlemen, this is just the introduction on nakshatras. So we have 27 constellations in the universe, and all our planets are moving
To the,
in the angular distance on these 27 nakshatras. But honestly speaking, we have more than 80 nakshatras, right,
yes.
not only 28. We have more than 80 nakshatras. But when this universe was was initiated by Vishnuji, right, at that point of time, only about 27 to 28 nakshatras were assigned to the circle of human race that we have. So the planets are going to move in a specific orbits, right? And they will constitute only 27 nakshatras. We have more nakshatras, and they are for people living up. Like there are nakshatras that have been assigned to rishis, to devatas, right?
Right.
Which we are in the different plane, much higher, much far away from what we are here at this point of time, right?
Right.
So 27 nakshatras. Now the challenge was to fit those 27 nakshatras into the horoscope, right? So what they did was, like, if we divide 360 degree by 27, right, you come up with a number which is called 13 degrees and 20 minutes, right? So this is how each nakshatra was mapped or sized. So now this size and 13 degree 20 minutes, practically it may not be an accurate one, okay, because astronomically, practically, it may differ with few degrees. Some nakshatras are smaller, some nakshatras are larger than the other ones, but then to make them fit in a horoscope, in a zodiac, right, we have taken this, the Muni Prashra has taken this as a calculation, and it has four padas, as you said, like one, two, three, and the four padas. So four parts, you can say, or the pada, I mean, is the direction, right? Because
Right.
nakshatras, when I teach Vastu, right, I consider lots and lots of nakshatras there, lots and lots of nakshatras, because you know what? The pada means, suppose, right, you are a nakshatra yourself, and I'm a nakshatra myself. We have only four options. Either we can move in the north direction, or we can move in the east, or in the west, or in the south, right? Now there are sub directions as well, so we're not talking of sub directions here, right?
Right.
We're just talking of mainly primary four directions, right? So that is why they have pada 1, pada 2, pada 3, and pada 4, right? And these are also the dharma, artha, kama, and moksha padas, right? So it is like, we have fire, earth, air, and water signs, that
Sign.
are assigned, right? So just like
Each
we have
padas. Yeah.
each padas, right? So if you have the first nakshatra Ashwini, right, and it has four padas, the first four padas would be nothing but, like, say, one pada, this is the second pada, the third pada, the fourth pada is the directions in which the human life will move. So it is
Right.
going to be right? Dharma, which is fire sign, Aries, right?
Aries.
Artha, right? Kama, and moksha.
Okay.
So which is like fire, earth, air, right? And water.
Water.
So now what happens is that if you are born in a particular nakshatra, right? When I say if you're born in a particular nakshatra, what does that mean, Nandita? What does it mean if you're born in a particular nakshatra? It
That means
means, yeah,
um, well, for you're signing the moon sign, right?
yes,
So that is where your moon was, right?
yes.
Sitting from a perspective when you look at the elliptical plane, pointing to that constellation from where you are on Earth.
Yeah, so the moon nakshatra is called the Janam nakshatra. And if you imagine that if you're born in the fourth pada of a particular nakshatra, you know, your moon was in the fourth pada. So you know what is going to happen? All the planets in the water signs. So what are the water signs we have? 4,
Like
8, and 12.
Cancer,
The 4, the 8,
or
and the
8,
12,
12.
right? The water signs, right? The
Yeah.
moksha signs. So any planet that you have in these water signs is going to be a very powerful planet in your chart because you were born in pada 4
The,
of the water, and this has a great importance in your chart, right?
yeah.
So you know what, your birth in this biological suit in this point of time for 70, 80 years, your soul, the momentum of the soul is going to be towards the water, which is moksha. You know, what is moksha? 4, 8, and 12 is to understand, why you are here, what you're
Yeah.
supposed to do, right? The occult sciences, the 8, and
Yes.
the meditation, right? Clearing your heart, right? So that's if you're born in pada 4, right?
Yeah.
And if you're born in pada 3, which is kama pada, your focus will be more towards traveling, business, right? And relationships, right?
Right.
And desires, what you're getting from those relationships, to what level of pleasure is coming to you. That is kama. Kama is nothing, it's pure desire, right?
Yeah.
That's what kama is all about. And when you say, uh, artha, you'll be more focused towards yourself and
Yes.
your profession, right? So how can you expand your profession? How can you work? So what does mean is that any planet beside the moon, any other planet which is in the earth signs, okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the earth signs? So we have two,
Taurus,
2,
right?
6,
2, 6,
yeah,
and
right?
10.
2, 6, and 10. Absolutely. Right. So, what does these mean? 2 is your wealth, 6 is your daily routine and what you work, and 10 is your profession. Right.
Right.
So, you're more concerned about expanding your horizon, your professionally. Right. That's what is the second pada
Right.
of any Janam Nakshatra, right? And the first pada is 159. It's about dharma, spirituality, children, mantra shastra, right? So you'll be a
Right.
very, very different. So you may not be very much involved in the occult sciences or moksha, but definitely you'll be very, very religious, right? And
Right.
you'll be also dharma oriented or dharma focused person, that everything that you do in your life has to have a dharma, right? When you say dharma, dharma means that you do everything in given protocols, right?
Right.
So there are protocols that are decided or they are given in the classics in various, in various shastras that we have,
Right.
that this is how you should live your life, right? So
Yeah.
you get up this time in the morning, you should eat this, you should do these mantras, so that the birth that you have here for like 70, 75 years or 80 years of your life, you can live it in a better way. See, the problems will come, right? Because that is because of your product, the past life
Yes.
karmic settlement and debts that you have. But on the same time, right, you will have courage to face that prarabdha by, just
Follow the dharma.
following the dharma, which is given in the different classics, and which is given in different shastras and puranas and agam and nigam, right? So many things that we discuss, and I was very fascinated to understand that when you started learning Jyotish, you started with Shiv Purana, right?
Yeah.
That was amazing because there are very few students who keep coming and saying, Navneet sir, what kind of prashra hora shastra, which book, which publication they should buy. They should buy this astrology book, that astrology book. But then when somebody comes and say, I want to first start with Shiv Purana, right, is is something that I know that the student of mine, or the member of Rudra Vedic Academy, is in a different celestial plane. The mind is very, very different. That is what is required. And then you were very, very focused on the mythology. So mythology of introducing nakshatras were to go deep, and what, you and I can have a same set of karmas, right? But we don't have same set of nature, right?
Right.
So to differentiate that nature, the nakshatras were formed. Nakshatra is basically mapping of the sky. It is
Right.
mapped in a way that you get your karma settled, right? Suppose you have a backlog of lot of eartha elements left, in the birth.
Right.
You will be always born in the second pada,
Right.
right? When the moon will be transiting in a second pada of a particular nakshatra that has a lot of karmic settlement, you will be given the birth,
Right.
right? Right. And then we'll have permutations and combinations of other planets based on your product, right?
Right.
Once we understand this concept, right, uh, analyzing a chart, a horoscope, would be completely scientific, and there will be no remedies, but there'll be solutions, right?
Yes.
Right. That's
Yes.
the
It was,
most important thing.
yeah, it was fascinating when you taught us nakshatras, and then we talked about padas and the elements, right? Artha, kama, moksha, and dharma. Like when you explained all the padas and how they tie up, and we talked about our paradh karma, it was very clear. That's when I knew that no two people born in the same nakshatras were the same.
Yeah.
That, uh, because when I speak with my friends
Yeah.
who are not who are not Indian,
Right.
they always say, "Well, I'm a Libra, and so are you." And I was one of them before I met
Yeah.
you and
Yeah.
understood how it all worked.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating now when I tell them, they when I map their chart and I tell them, "Oh, you're this, this, and this, and you're not a Libra," and I'm like,
Right.
"Is this who you are?" And they're like, "Yeah, actually, it's more accurate. I never really aligned with what I read before, So it's
Right.
fascinating, and I think now truly you understand through
Right.
understanding the nakshatras and the padas
Right.
why things are happening, even at a very larger
Yeah.
scale. You
Yeah.
can literally find out why. What is your purpose? What should you
Right.
be driving towards,
Right.
in your life?
Right.
And
But
that for me was the moment it it everything just clicked,
yeah,
you
and you
know?
know what? And you were discussing just before the video that Guruji, we have so many deities, and we have lords of nakshatras and
Yes,
devatas of nakshatras. And imagine, Nandita, if we do the remedies according to nakshatras, it's like going to the root. Right.
yes,
It's
it
like
is.
not watering on a plant, but it's watering in the root itself, so that
Yeah,
the things can actually grow. And when we do this series, Nandita, I want you to introduce each deity and each devata and the stories associated with those devatas based on nakshatras, so that the first thing that we'll do is to bring in the spiritual aspect of a soul, right?
yes,
Right. So if we'll dig in and we take out the spiritual aspect of a particular soul through nakshatras, right? They work like magic. Trust me. This is
yes,
from my experience. in the past that people, if they've done nakshatra-based remedies and they've understood the nakshatras, and a lot of people keep asking me, Navneet sir, Guruji, what should be considered? The Janam nakshatra, the ascendant nakshatra, or the nakshatra in which our Mahadasha Lord is sitting? What should we consider? And my answer is you need to consider everything, right?
Right.
For different aspects of life, right? The moon nakshatra is your DNA, right? And the outer, the ascendant and the Mahadasha Lord is your journey, right?
Yes.
That you're gonna have in this life, right? So it's just not just the Chandra nakshatra, but the ascendant nakshatra, right? And the planets that are sitting in a particular pada, like for an example, if you're born with third pada, right, your moon was in the third pada of an XYZ nakshatra, so you need to understand, right, the 3, 6, 10 rashis, right, what all planets are there, and understand their nakshatras, and you can easily understand your professional life easily,
Yes.
right? You
Yes.
can differentiate that he is a nephrologist, a doctor, and he's a gynae, right? So
Yes.
that will come through deep dissection of nakshatras. You can analyze that he's a doctor from the planetary position, but what kind of a doctor? And he'll be an
Yes.
entrepreneur, or he's gonna have a job all his life, right? Is seen from the nakshatras. That is what actually is the nakshatra, and bringing mythology, which no YouTube channels brought for an individual nakshatras. Like I'm gonna start uh, plants, the plants and trees associated with each nakshatra, right? With Dr. Shruti, as I
Right.
promised my viewers here, and I'm gonna start the mythology part with you. And trust me, guys, she's very, very good, right? She's researched, she's learning Puranas and Vedas, and then after learning the Puranas, she's entering the astrology world, which has to be right way, right? You have to spiritually enhance yourself. You have to understand the stories behind why something is happening in your life, right? If you don't understand, if you understand, okay, this is happening, so we need to do this, that is like 50% knowledge, that is incomplete, right? The most important thing is that you have to understand why, right? Why this? And then once we know why, then we know how to do it, and what to do. And so that's how we're going to take it forward. Right,
Yeah.
Nandita ji? Yeah.
Yeah. This
So,
is
what else would you
very.
like to give the inputs?
I think it's fascinating just for the viewers to understand what you did on
Yeah.
the whiteboard, right?
Right.
I mean, there's so many things. We
Yeah.
can't all cover everything, but my passion is the mythology.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I got there because I wanted to understand why. What was the root cause?
Right.
Just simply looking at my life, right? And it pointed to understanding those stories, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
even though we look at our
Right.
life and
Yeah.
it in
Yeah.
perspective to everyone else's life, it's our own life. But what was fascinating to me is that the nakshatras are all around us. They're in living, breathing things. And if we understand the stories and understand what the nakshatras are, there's symbols and signs everywhere. Lately, I've
Right.
been experiencing so much of that, right?
Yeah.
In the past, and I didn't think about it, but through your classes, each week when you teach us the different nakshatras, and I think back, or that nakshatra happens to be that day, I see
Yeah.
the signs, I see the symbols.
Right.
Today, I didn't
Right.
even know. I went
Right.
to take my dog for a walk. I took a picture of those weirdest clouds, and
Wow.
they look like nagas.
Yeah. You
And
shared
then
that. You shared that in the
I
in our
shared that,
group. Yeah.
yes, and
That's so
the
fascinating.
Simranji
Yeah.
said that they look like nagas. It's aslesha,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, the signs are everywhere,
Yeah.
and it's amazing that even the Vedic texts like Puranas, they talk about this. To me, I just, every time I see a sign and every time I make the connection, I'm in total awe. So it just pulls me
Yeah.
deeper and deeper and deeper, because I think if everyone just understood that, our lives would be so much better.
Absolutely, 100%. And I'm
Yeah,
so excited for the
I'm
series with
super
you.
excited. Yeah,
And we'll have Ashwini coming next week, right? The
yes.
mythology, and we're gonna share a lot of divine knowledge and information that we have for all our viewers, right? And ladies and gentlemen, if you really like the video, please subscribe to the channel, share the video, and please thank Nandita ji for bringing this up for me. And then she said, Navneet, this is something that nobody's done. Let's go why and how, right? And then we move what is what, right? So this is something so amazing. Thank you, Nandita, right? And you're in the western part of the world in New Jersey, and somebody who's coming from the New Jersey and then coming up with so deep concept and in madly, deeply, completely love with Puranas and Shastras is absolutely phenomenal and amazing, right? So thank you for on my channel. Thank you for being on my channel, and let's start with Ashwini next week. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me. This is such an honor. And
Yeah.
thank you for all your guidance.
Yes. Thank you so much,
Thank
and thank you everyone for watching this video. We'll come up with another video next week. Till then, Hare Krishna, Jai Jagannath.
Hare Krishna.